Did you get my message?
I have ideas.
Hey, Ryan.
How you doing? I'm good. I'm good.
Were you sick? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You sent that email about it.
Diabetes, man. Well, I'm still in and out, supposed to be pre-diabetes. Full-blown diabetes.
You don't take anything?
What's up, Ryan?
But he got between 375 and 500 for over a week straight. Taking it, drinking water.
You know, there are no
So, okay, so your A1C. Which the
Diet Dr. Peppers or Diet Pepsis at Kroger or at Ingalls. Thankfully, there was one in the office.
Ryan, seriously, you ever catch a snake and
I
need
would
somewhere
be
to put it,
under here.
you can bring it to my house.
I don't.
As long as it's not a copperhead. I'll even take a rattlesnake. Rattlesnake's fine. But,
are you collecting snakes?
well, if you put good snakes at your house, they'll murder all the bad snakes.
That's all I can say.
It's really hard to put a container around.
Well, mine butts up to the creek behind the library.
Okay.
And so I don't want to know what's there. I don't think anything's on my yard.
Mics are on.
But like, you know, the more king snakes, the better. They'll make sure that there's nothing in the cemetery or that little, you know. And then, you know, that stream connects to all those woods down there. And then, right, you know, when we were camping in North Georgia, 3 weekends ago, we saw 2 copperheads.
And those are deadly.
Yeah, copperheads are jerks too. They're territorial. So like, whereas a rattlesnake has a rattle not to hunt. It's like, please don't step on me. See, I'm here. Leave me alone. I really want to leave you alone. Please just leave me alone. Like they don't. Why else would they have a rattle? It's not helping them hunt. It's there to like be like, hey, like don't step on me. Whereas copperhead is like, this is my house. You're in my house, and they'll come after you like, you better get out of here. It's like, are you a little snake? Copperheads have very small fangs, but they're
None of them
venomous.
Don't even try to educate me on them.
between them and spiders. I can't stand spiders. I'm terrified of spiders.
Well, the thing
Terrified. Petrified.
I am super arachnophobic. I've had so many bad encounters with spiders. I got 2 big spider bites on me right now. They're like, I hate them.
The one that's probably the least one that's and I hate to tell y'all,
Granddad Long.
That's the one. That's the one.
No.
It's not even a spider.
It is. It's not even.
It's only got 1 body segment. It's closer related to the scorpion than the spider. It's true. I'm an Eagle Scout baby.
I see.
Am
Yeah.
I? I don't plan to be being out.
Did you get my message? Did you get my message on Facebook?
You're up, sir.
Slithering on the ground.
There we go. Just stay away from snakes.
Good evening and welcome to the Spalding County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. It is Monday, August 1st, 2022 at 6 p.m. I'd request that everyone silence your cell phones and all other electronic devices. At this time, I'd like to ask Pastor Lacey of the Mount Zion Baptist Church to deliver the invocation, and followed by Commissioner Ryan Bolden of District 4 to deliver the pledge to the flag.
Mr. Commissioner, we would ask that we postpone the invocation for just a minute. At this time, I would ask that the commissioners recognize Sheriff Dix.
Sheriff, please come forward.
Good evening. How are y'all? Kind of a somber time. I just wanted to give y'all an update on where we're at. As many of you know, we lost an officer in the line of duty yesterday morning, about 5:30 a.m. Deputy Jamie Reynolds was eastbound on Highway 16, had just passed Shoal Creek Road, and a huge pine tree fell across the road as he was passing by. It landed in the passenger compartment of his vehicle, and it killed him instantly. Jamie had been with us since January of 2021. He is a 25-year law enforcement veteran. He worked his last job before he came to work with us as he was the interim chief of the Forest Park Police Department. He's very well known in the Georgia Chiefs Association and around the state. His assignment with us when he passed was acting as our assisting us with state certification, national accreditation, and was also doing grant writing. And one of the last things that he did for us before his life was taken was he got us a $50,000 grant to do some work in the jail with the ventilation system and things like that. And he has other grants that he was working on that are still outstanding that, will hopefully, in his memory, come to fruition. Dr. Ledbetter went with me, and Jess Gasway went with me yesterday morning to make the notification to the family. They live in Coweta County. Sheriff Lynn Wood sent one of his deputies to accompany us over there as we made the notification to the family. And of course, as you can only imagine, they were absolutely devastated. Spoke to his wife and two of his stepchildren, a young girl and a young man. We have been in constant contact with her today. We have already reached out through several different organizations, concerns of police survivors and other organizations to arrange benefits for his wife and for his children. Hopefully, if everything comes together with those as we're working them right now, all of his stepchildren will end up having free college educations as they grow older. And we have been contacted by law enforcement agencies all over the state of Georgia from across the nation about Jamie's untimely death. And the sheriffs here in Georgia have been particularly good. There are only 159 of us, and we're very close, and we help each other out. But the family has not made any funeral arrangements yet. His body right now is at Connor Westbury Funeral Home, and we'll be there as the family continues to make plans. As soon as that happens, I'll make the announcement as to time and date of funeral arrangements. And it was Jamie's time. That type of accident is a 1 in a million thing. If he'd have been 1 second earlier or 1 second later, the tree would have missed his vehicle completely. And the only thing that I can say is, we are not guaranteed tomorrow. And when it's your time and the Lord calls you, it's your time. And we have to keep in the back of our minds that whatever Jamie's mission was here, whatever Jamie's mission was here, he completed it yesterday morning. And the Lord called him home. So I ask that you keep me, the Spalding County Sheriff's Office, in our community, in your thoughts and prayers as we walk with this family through this tragedy. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I would ask that the board allow us for a moment of silence before Dr. Lacey comes and provides our invocation this evening.
Absolutely. Lacey.
Let us remain in the posture of prayer. And we would like to add to our prayer list at this time also Dr. Don Ledbetter, the father of Dr. Steve Ledbetter. He's on his way home from the hospital, and we want to remember him as well. Eternal and everlasting God, our Father, we pause in this business meeting of Spalding County. We acknowledge and we invoke the presence of the Holy Spirit to be in this place. We ask for your anointing to fall fresh on the family of Deputy Jamie Reynolds. May your spirit fall afresh on Dr. Don Ledbetter. We come here now, Lord, to take care of the business of this our home. We pray for your anointing to fall afresh on our county commissioners and all of those who direct daily the job and the responsibility of taking care of this our great county. We thank you, Lord, for this gathering. Be with those who will speak. Be with the decisions that will be made. And we pray, O Lord, that all that we shall do in this place will enhance and bless the citizens of Spalding County, and that it will bless those who come this way. We honor you tonight, Lord, and we ask that you will have your way in these meetings of minds, spirits, and hearts. And we pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
If you would, please join me in the pledge to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 4, presentations and proclamation. Consider presentation of courthouse portrait for recognition of Tim Crane's retirement from the Public Works Department after 27 years of service. Dr. Ledbetter.
At this time, I would recognize Mr. T.J. Emberger.
Thank you. Tonight is one of those bittersweet nights as we're excited for Mr. Tim Crane. But the sad part is we lose his knowledge and we can't come talk to him every day to see what he does know. So he's retired actually a couple months ago, and we've struggled a little bit. So we're going to keep on going as we can. Tim is celebrating 28 years of service with Spalding County. He started in 1994 on the grass crew. 1995, he became assigned maintenance officer. In 1998, he became the recycling supervisor. He designed and built our current collection centers. In 2000, he became the assistant director of public works, and he was instrumental in our county's cleanup during the tornadoes. 2013, he became the interim director, and in 2018, he became the special project supervisor for Spalding County. I think one of the things that Tim is famous for is for several years, we had a recycled garden in front of Public Works. If it looked like it would look good in a garden, Tim brought it back and made it look good. So we've always been very excited. It's a big loss to lose Tim. And I know that y'all will be presenting him with the courthouse. And we want to thank Tim. And Tim wants to say a few words.
I just want to say it was a pleasure working for the county. It was a steady source of income even when everybody else was going through those hard times in 2008 and you can always count on the county government because somebody's got to run it. And so, you know, it's a very stable job, and I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. Taking a lot out of here with me, but you know, everybody can feel free to call me anytime they want to. And it was just a blessing to for God to send me that job. I was struggling at the time back in '94, and we worked our way up, and we made something out of it. And so I appreciate everybody, and it was a pleasure working for the county. And who knows, I might come back.
Don't say that. We're going to take a couple pictures. First with the board and Tim, come on up here. And then the second with family and TJ and everybody else. Trying to get him where I'm supposed to be. We're going to have a picture here in just a second. All right, this is TJ come forward, Dr. Ledbetter come forward with Tim.
One for all of us.
Yep. Come on. No, no, I'm not. I don't need to be in.
Thank you, Tim.
Tim, thank you for everything you did for us.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 2.
I got to plan a trip.
Consider request to issue a joint proclamation with the City of Griffin welcoming students back to school in Spalding County on August 3, 2022. Dr. Ledbetter.
Thank you. It is my absolute privilege to offer a joint proclamation with the City of Griffin and Spalding County welcoming our students back to school. Whereas the Griffin Spalding County Schools are preparing to begin the 22-23 school year on August the 3rd, 2022, and social interaction is critical for pre-adolescents and adolescents as studies show that students who miss in-person school time fall behind in learning, and Griffin Spalding County teachers play a vital role in shaping the lives of the children in this community. They teach more than science, math, and language. They teach our children how to live, and as COVID brought many unique challenges, Griffin Spalding County teachers worked diligently to overcome those obstacles and continued their dedication to educating our students. And the outpouring of support from local organizations and individuals to help prepare children for the start of this school year is remarkable and commendable. And the African American proverb states, "It takes a village to raise a child," and this philosophy is alive in the Griffin Spalding County community with partners who stand together to offer assistance and the dedicated teachers and staff ready to welcome students back for another productive school year. Now, therefore, be it resolved, with the Spalding County Board of Commissioners and the City of Griffin Board of Commissioners express our gratitude to the Griffin Spalding County Schools. We are honored to have these positive role models and mentors in our students' lives. We ask Griffin Spalding County citizens to help welcome back our students as they begin the 22-23 school year, and thank the teachers, administration, and support staff who work every day to ensure the students are well educated and safe. At this time, I would like to welcome Dr. Keith Simmons and our city Manager Jessica O'Connor to the front of the room. I think you need to have a vote on the proclamation.
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Thank you. Now, okay, guys, I'm gonna get it all together here shortly.
Okay, so are they gonna speak?
Would y'all like to come down and please have your picture made?
No.
Okay.
My shorts get me in the back.
Hold on to the thing. Okay.
Yeah. Superintendent, I mean. Across the street.
Thank you. Well, good evening. And Commissioners, I just want to say thank you on behalf of our Board of Education, the more than 9,000 students and families that we serve. This proclamation is just one of the many ways that we feel supported and that it demonstrates your belief and your willingness to help educate this community. I'm so very pleased and honored to be in this position. And again, it is our hope that we will be able to remain agile. We will work through whatever curveballs, COVID and whatever else may throw our way, but more importantly, students and their families are always first. And I appreciate your support and your willingness to be a part of that partnership. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent, for what you're doing.
See you next Tuesday.
Okay.
Presentation of financial statement.
There was nothing to report this evening.
Okay. Item number 6, citizen comments. Speakers must sign up prior to the meeting and provide their names, addresses, and the topics they wish to discuss. Speakers must direct your remarks to the board and not to individual commissioners or to the audience. Personal disagreements with the individual commissioners or county employees are not a matter of public concern, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. The chairman has the right to limit your comments in the interest of disposing of the county's business in an efficient and respectful manner. Speakers will be allocated 3 minutes to speak on their chosen topics as they relate to matters pertaining to the jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. No questions will be asked by any of the commissioners during citizen comments. Outbursts from the audience will not be tolerated. Common courtesy and civility are expected at all times during the meeting. No speaker will be permitted to speak more than 3 minutes or more than once unless the board votes to suspend this rule. Dr. Ledbetter.
First up this evening is Mr. Peter Cabral. If you would, please state your name and your address.
Peter Cabral, 1260 Hillview Road, Hampton, Georgia. Good evening. First of all, condolences on the loss of our deputy. I was shocked when I heard that. Tim Crane, I have known for a number of years, and he's a very good man. I hope he enjoys his retirement. What I'm going to speak to tonight is something I don't want to have to bring up. I was hoping I would never have to, but after a while, I've just come to the point I've just had enough. And that is unauthorized use of private property. Let it be known to one and all, the management of 1260 Hillview Road, Hampton, Georgia, 2317 Rocky Creek Road, Hampton, Georgia, and 1041 Malheur Road, Hampton, Georgia, expressly objects to any unauthorized use of our property for any purpose. This includes, but is not limited to, fireworks, odors, sound, smoke, etc., that originates from other properties' land and trespasses onto our land. While we acknowledge our fellow landowners' right to use their land as they see fit, conversely, neither they nor anyone has any right to deny us our inalienable right to enjoy every square inch of our property as we see fit. Permits by any government agency, including but not limited to amplification permits, etc., does not mitigate these trespasses. Upon our sole discretion, monetary fees and legal fees will be assessed per calendar day for all infractions. We encourage Spalding County Commission to mandate all permits for application include a minimum fee of $1,000 per calendar day for each adjoining landowner for their loss of their use of their land. Furthermore, we encourage the Sun City Peachtree Homeowners Association to welcome applicants for application to hold these events inside the confines of Sun City Peachtree, especially multicultural. If you wouldn't have it in your neighborhood, why should I have to put up with it in mine? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cabral.
Next up is Ms. Jewel Walker Harps.
Good evening, Ms. Jewel.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Chairman and County Manager. My name is Jewel Walker Harps. I live at 103 McElthel Drive, Griffin, Georgia 30224. And I'm here because of a concern. I'm pretty tired of hearing comments and reading in print just how terrible, just how horrible our jail is here. And that brings me to the point. I cannot believe it. We do what we want to do. When I approach others about it, I'm told, well, it's being talked about, we've been talking. The time is out for talking. This is not something that happened last year, year before last, the year before then. It has been here for several years, for many years, matter of fact. Patching up won't do. We need a new complex, and we don't have an option. Now, I don't know what the problem is. I heard at another meeting some mention of a tax. I don't have a problem with SPLOS, rather, not tax SPLOS. If that's the case, that's some progress, but I hope you have Plan B. The community has seen so many SPLOS and so many different taxes, it may say no, but you don't want to have an option. If it says no, or if it says yes, it makes no difference. We must, and we will have a jail. We will not continue to put people out there and sentence them to death just simply by being in that facility. And the workers who are there, who must be there in order to earn a living, the answer to that is no. The time has come now that we must do something. It's my mission, it's the mission of the NAACP to see that it happens. And I'm not going to walk away. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jewel.
Carol Jones.
Carol Jones, 1611 Pine Brook Drive. My reason for coming tonight is to request an update of where we're at with the homeless shelter plan. What I do know, I received from, I'm on a committee at the Salvation Army, and Lieutenant Nadler spoke to us some months back. She told us that it would be housed in the former 4th Ward School Griffin Police Department building, that building would be vacated, and it has been. The police department has moved, as we're all aware. She told us that there is a grant to hire employees to work there. The Salvation Army would monitor that, would hire those people, that they would work 24/7 every day of the week to monitor that. So the police department, of course, has moved. Nothing seems to have transpired. People say that the problem is asbestos in the building. I don't know. hopefully, if that is the issue, that we're looking for another building to get these people off the street, because if you drive through downtown, they're laying on the benches, day, night, whatever. So hopefully there is a building out there. There's an option. One that stands out to me that I have driven by is the Daily Reporting Center. It's the corner of D.F. Fuller and Justice Boulevard. It is in decline with weeds and grass going up to the windows. So hopefully that or some other building is available so that we can move forward and use this grant that the lieutenant says we have to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
No one else has signed up, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Item number 7, minutes. Consider approval of the minutes of the Spalding County Board of Commissioners special called meeting on June 15th, 2022, and the Spalding County Board of Commissioners extraordinary session on July 18th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion passes. Thank you. Consent agenda. Item number 8. Consider on second and final reading an amendment to a resolution amending the Code of Ordinance of Spalding County Division 1, Laws and Local Application, Part 2, Governing Administration, Chapter 2, Elections, Section 2.1, Board Established Districts. Dr. Ledbetter.
At this time, I would recognize the County Attorney, Stephanie Wyndham.
This is a second reading. We've reviewed it at our last meeting, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
You weren't here, but did you?
This is,
I was here when we did this.
She was. Oh, okay.
She was here on Thursday.
This is
Oh,
just
Thursday,
the,
that's what I was thinking.
this is consent agenda.
no, but this item is just the item that deals with cleaning up the
It
election.
cleans up that order.
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9, old business. Lift from the table and consider recommendation from the Parks and Leisure Service Advisory Commission request for wage increase for drivers. Do I have a motion to lift from the table?
Motion to lift?
All right, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Dr. Ledbetter?
At this time, I would recognize Ms. Kelly Carmichael.
We have to.
We didn't vote.
You got a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
All in favor?
All, discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your, correct. Thank you. No discussion necessary. All right, Dr. Ledbetter.
At this time, I would recognize Ms. Kelly Carmichael.
Good evening. At one of your previous meetings, you approved the motor coach policy and then raised question about the wage for our motor coach operator. As you know, we've purchased a new motor coach that should be coming offline anytime now, should no more within the next few weeks. It is a 57-passenger new motor coach, and we have a need for an experienced operator, given that this driver will be responsible for 57 lives plus their own, and to be able to maneuver through cities, through any, going through varying states and following our policy. This individual will be a county employee, and the motor coach is not for charter, so they would be mainly providing transportation from the senior center to various locations, and then also providing a service for intergovernmental per our policy. And so I've done some homework. Finding the average wage is not an easy thing to do. Private business does not freely share this information, but I was able to spend a little time with someone with 40 years experience as an HR director over motor coach operating. He asked me some questions. I shared with him the current wage of our motor coach operators, and he could say that it is well below the industry standard. He says typically, motor coach operators that travel out of state are paid higher. He also could share that having full-time opportunities keeps us at the most competitive place. I realize, you know, through this and through looking at our budget that that is not an option for us at this time. However, I did want to share that point of information with you. It is a highly competitive industry. Also, operators with more years of experience also have a higher hourly rate of pay. He gave me a variance of in the $20 range to $30 range. And that's as a specific of information as I could get from him. So with that, I've taken some time to really look at the budget that's been prepared for this program, 6102 account. And currently, the FY23 budget with salaries and part-time benefits is $14,769. That's the money we have to deal with on this current budget. So if we were to, let me add this. With that, that gives us approximately, at the current rate of pay of $17.11, that's 15 hours of work a week. Now, mind you, one day trip would be approximately 10 hours. You've got your pre-trip, you've got your trip, you've got your stops, you've got your post-trip. So that really only gives you 1.5 days of travel per week, okay? So it's important to know that as we look forward. I know we had proposed $25 an hour in the policy. I'd like to re-look at that. Let me just share with you what that would look like. Salaries and benefits would be, part-time mind you, would be $29,213. That puts us $14,444 in the red. I don't, I've got to be conscientious. I don't know where that money would come from. If we were to go to $22 an hour, with 20 hours a week, that puts us at $25,709. That puts us at $11,000 in the red on salaries. If we were to go back to the original 15 hours per week at $22 an hour with part-time benefits, that puts us at $19,282. That puts us at $4,500 in the red. Looking at the budget, I see we've budgeted $11,000 in auto and truck maintenance. This is a new vehicle under warranty. There may be, provided it operates well, there may be room to make some compensation within the budget as a whole. There are many different choices, many different ways that we can look at this, but I would propose, if there's a way to manage the $22 an hour, and that at any future endeavors of the county to do salary compensation studies, something of that nature, that might be another opportunity to bring it further in line.
May I ask a question, or can we not ask questions?
Yes.
How much are we, or, I won't use the word savings here, but with this, the new vehicle that's coming, we're not budgeting for maintenance, I guess. We're not doing that because it's a new truck. I hate to use the word truck, but van or whatever it is. How much are we saving for that could go toward that? 'Cause I'm sure there was a lot of money that we were budgeting years for Big Blue. We're not doing that now. So how much are we actually saving?
Well, I think that's one of the things that Kelly just reiterated
It's
was the
$11,000.
$11,000. $11,000.
That's in the current budget for.
Okay.
But what are we actually, if we looked at this, and maybe TJ can help, you look at the last 5 years, we've had some major stuff to
Yes,
go
we
wrong.
did.
So I know we're spending more than $11,000 a year in maintenance, because I know we've had parts that we had to put
Right.
on there that was that much money.
It's broke down a few times.
So, and I really wasn't thinking about that, and so I think it's important for us to know, because just because we say, yeah, we're gonna be not paying that, it would be interesting to know how much we paid out.
Right.
And we don't have the expense of a new bus, because the bus is paid for. I just have my concern is that if we're willing to spend over $500,000 for a bus, we should want a most experienced and capable driver as possible operating that vehicle. Of course, the cargo, which would be 57 Spalding County citizens, is precious, period. You know, we may put our kids on the bus, we may put other county officials or whoever on the bus, and that is a big deal. But having a person who has the savvy to know how to drive into a big city and park that big bus and know where it needs to go, I wouldn't do that either for $16. And we failed that position, because when we did the salary study, we did not add them in, just as we didn't add any of the other part-time people in. So it's not like this is something that just dropped out of the sky. For me, if you're gonna go to the top of the line with the bus, why would we scrimp on having to pay for experience to have somebody to protect it and protect the people that we plan to put on it? So I think that's a great idea. I would love for you to look into your budget and see if there's someplace else. But I think the issue for us here tonight is to decide what amount we will approve as an increased wage, and then you will have the opportunity maybe to look at your budget and to take those things into account to be able to offset having that salary. My other question is, if the person is supposed to work 20 hours a week, we don't have 20 hours a week worth of travel. But I guess if you have a couple, I know they said they're gonna do multiple trips in a week.
That's correct. So what they have that will be coming before you in the near future is a three-day trip. So 3 days, 30 hours will be used up, so that creates a deficit for another week. So there will be, with this, there will be a maximum number of hours that we can approve trips for.
Yeah, they're not gonna like that. And I really don't want them to come back up here fussing at us about that. Yeah, I mean, so do y'all agree? I think the issue is for us to decide whether or not we will approve an increase in the salary, and then for them to look at their department.
Dr.
For
Ledbetter?
me, I am totally leaning on Dr. Ledbetter.
I have absolutely no problem utilizing the $11,000 toward the increased salary for an exceptional driver, for someone who is going to take care of our citizens. You're absolutely right. There is an opportunity for us to put the best qualified person behind the wheel of a vehicle that we just spent a lot of money for. And I would have no issues with transferring that money over for the salaries. We're bound by the budget that you approved.
Hey, I totally get
And
it.
we're gonna stay inside of that budget. So, if you're so inclined to provide us with a maximum dollar amount for what you're looking for, then we will go find the money to make that happen and stay within budget.
You know, their recommendation was 25. You say that's at the middle. Then you say you can go down to 22. Do you think you will be, I mean, obviously $6 an hour more is better, but will that still put you in a competitive range?
It'll be on the lower end of competitive, just to be completely honest with you, being a part-time position, so.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. As a nurse, if you work full-time, you don't get as much money because you get benefit. But if I come to work not as a full-time, I expect to be paid at least 1.5 times what everybody with benefits gets. I mean, I get it. It's the same thing for anybody. I would like to make the motion that we accept the recommendation from Park and Rec to increase the salary to $25 an hour for the part-time bus driver, but that the county manager and Kelly has some leeway between 22 and 25 based on their, whoever the candidate is. And certainly, the money sounds like it's already in the budget. So,
With a target of 2022 or whatever it was, but
yeah.
give or take their best efforts.
All right?
So should we, that would be a motion to accept,
$25, the 25.
yeah, accept a minimum salary of 22 and maximum $25 an hour for the bus driver, with the direction to look back into your budget and readjust so that you can incur the cost of hiring that person.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I sure hope we find enough money for the 25. That's what I really hope. When I think about liability and things like that could happen, all that money goes right out the door, what we would be responsible for. So, I'm just saying.
All right,
But okay.
all those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 10, new business. Consider request for amplification from Rosa Antonio for a wedding to be held at 120 Kayla Road, Griffin, Georgia, on September 3rd, 2022, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Dr. Ledbetter?
In front of you on your screen, could we go one more, please? Thank you, Ms. Kathy. Is the application. It is for 120 Kayla Court. You can see it's in a neighborhood. We have asked all of our departments for consideration of this. They have all concurred that this would be okay with them. Our concern is that they cut off the amplification at 10 o'clock. So our recommendation is to approve, but with condition that they understand that the sound has to be extinguished at 10 p.m.
That's a change from what we
It
normally
is a
do.
change.
Don't we usually go to 10?
11? No, we go to 11.
So, well, her request is just to 10. When I look
We don't
at
go
this,
to
what subdivision is that?
It's just off of Vineyard.
So, and I asked that because I'm looking, if that is a third of an acre lot
It
or
is.
something, that's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be affected.
That is correct.
And we used to, in the olden days, have something where somehow the neighborhood was actually notified. And
They're
I think
supposed to notify, that's part of the
that's part of the
application process. is
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
supposed to notify all of their neighbors.
right, but how do we know that they did that?
When they sign the application, they're indicating that they have complied with all of the,
So,
Is there
yeah.
a penalty if we
Is
find
that-
out they didn't?
Well, that's what I'm saying. What if I come back and say, well, they didn't talk to me,
Right.
and I'm totally opposed to it, so I'm not challenging you, Kathy, but I'm just simply saying, when you're living out on 40 acres, you ain't really that concerned if your neighbor that's a mile down the road or half a mile hears it wafting. But if you're living right up on somebody, and they got the bass thumping from 5 o'clock in the evening to 10 o'clock, that's a big deal.
It doesn't happen all the time, though. I mean, obviously, this is a
No, I
wedding.
mean, I'm just
You know, this is
saying.
one instance. If it happened every weekend or something like that, I totally get it, but this is a wedding event from 5 to 10.
And I'm not challenging that, I'm
Yeah.
just simply saying, we just don't have any checks and balances for how we will impose that on such a large, I mean, because in a subdivision that small, you're gonna hear it over the entire subdivision.
Maybe we should have like a deadline, because I mean, I'm pretty sure if the neighbors would've known, we'd had some people here tonight for a public discussion to talk against it. There's just, like I say, when did they do this, sign this, don't have a date on it, does it?
7/13.
The 13th? Okay.
So, yeah,
Like we have, there's a slew of wedding venues around town and event space and this kind of stuff, so that you don't have to have a wedding in your backyard. You know what I mean? Like, again, a wedding in a backyard on 40 acres is 40 acres, but like, I worry here, is there any kind of restriction on like how many folks they can have at this party? I mean, if 400 people show up, and you know what I mean? Like,
where will they park?
Yeah.
I mean, we're saying everything, and I don't want them, you know, I think that if my daughter wanted to get married in my backyard, I would let her. But
Yeah, and if it was her
But-
husband and 5 friends, but, you know, and you
there's
want,
no place to park in my neighborhood, first of all, and then we all live right on top of each other, so I may ask my neighbors, but I would think that my expectation wouldn't be that you could have an amplification from 5 o'clock at night to 10 o'clock at night. That's just, I mean, you know, we
This kinda
got some
sounds like
time
block party.
between them, but I'm just a little bit leery about it being somebody having a wedding and that many hours of amplification in a subdivision as well and densely populated as this. That's kind of rude.
I would be-
That
what's
is
the
rude.
date of this?
Yes, it's September the 3rd, so I would be very much in favor of using the table option here and affording those who would want to come back to you on 2 weeks from today to speak on this amplification application, because it is in a subdivision. It is in a cul-de-sac, and you are exactly right. There will be cars and other vehicles that will be in this area. It is an option.
And if that's what we choose to do, that's fine, but if we have no neighbors that come, I say we go ahead and approve it.
I agree.
Yeah.
So how will we advertise that people will know that there's a meeting? for
Yeah, what's
them?
the advertising requirements for that?
DeAndre, will you please post this on our social media sites and on our website to ensure that we notify those who are in the community that we will have a public hearing on this particular application?
And will we start doing this in the future?
Well, that's the question.
I
Absolutely.
was gonna ask, Stephanie, does our ordinance require if they're gonna ask for an application?
I was going to say that I've
I don't
not
think so. Oh.
reviewed the ordinance in a long
It
time.
doesn't?
It
But
does
that
not.
it is probably something that if we're gonna have these kind of discussions, we need to revisit.
Right.
Because your ordinance is going to need to be,
Well, because we,
Or like, you know, proof of notification of all neighbors
sure.
within hearing, you know what I'm saying?
I mean,
Like,
if you're signing an affidavit that's notarized, that's one thing. This application doesn't hold that kind of weight.
Well, if you,
I'm just simply saying, you can just say you talk to everybody.
Sure.
And I would just say that just because it's the easiest thing to do when y'all in the office ask me.
I talked to them all,
Yeah,
everyone's fine with it,
good,
yeah.
But,
Not saying that's what happened here, we're just,
you know, in looking at the other neighbors that are in the neighborhood,
yeah.
if you're that close to someone, you're gonna be totally impacted. If you're those first 4 houses, that's your driveway, you know, you won't be able to hear the basketball game, you know,
and that's one reason why we changed it from 11 to 10 as well.
Yeah.
We didn't have
But,
11
you know, but it
o'clock.
also
I'm just
determines.
saying.
So maybe the application may not be from 5 till, maybe the wedding starts. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
I just remember,
going
Nancy, this-
on
I
later
just
to the
remember-
night on Saturday night.
I just remember the conversation a couple of years ago, this came up. And the reason why we changed it from 11 to 10, because we were thinking about the neighbors, but we also said, you know, you have a home, it's your home, you know, you are allowed to do this. So if we do, yes, we do need to change the ordinance. In this situation, I'm okay with having a public hearing, but if no one comes out and opposes it, I say we go for it.
And the ordinance doesn't call for a public hearing.
No, it doesn't,
it
but I'm saying we're
doesn't.
doing this though.
So
But
I mean,
you
putting
really-
this off for that is, if
It's
it's
doing
not,
something extra, isn't it?
yes, if it's not
It
your
is.
custom
Because-
and practice.
We're not doing the same thing that we have done for everybody else, but we all agree
This is
that
the first time it's
this
come up in a
needs-
subdivision like this. I've never seen a amplification for somebody's backyard, like,
No,
they
we've had,
neighbor like
I
6
thought we
We've
had
people.
to.
had some
Yeah.
before, but you know, if you're on an acre, it's
Right,
a little
right,
bit
right.
different, or if you're on 5
Everyone's
acres.
got neighbors, but this,
But.
This is also a holiday weekend too.
We tried to get away from the, you know, you need to go and talk to the neighbors within a half mile or get signatures from them.
to do that.
And I'm not real sure how we got away from that. Then we had to start trying to ask the sheriff's department, how much is a decibel? How much will hurt your ear?
Right.
How long can you have at that decibel before you, so, you know, maybe there's a piece of equipment that can determine that. But our noise ordinance says that if you're making noise at your house and I can hear it next door at mine, then that's a violation. That's what our
if
noise
it lasts
ordinance
longer
says.
than 15 minutes, yeah.
Right. So, we have something, but we're saying we're gonna make an exception to it, but now we're looking like we need to add some amendments to the exception. I agree with you, we really shouldn't not approve it because we haven't done it before, but I think we just need to put the brakes on approving it anymore until we figure out what's the fair way to do it. I mean, because
Oh, I agree.
having a public
Precedent
hearing,
setting,
nothing
we've
was
set
ever
the
made
precedent
anybody.
of how
So
to
we
do
saying
this.
we're not gonna have a public hearing, what are we saying here?
Well, it's not, it wouldn't necessarily be a public hearing. It's,
Well,
we have a lot of doubts up here that what they say has happened, that they've gotten all of their neighbors, and all of their neighbors are okay with it. I think that's the underlying issue here. And so giving those neighbors the chance to affirm or deny that they've all been notified and that they've all said, yeah, go for it, I think, so it's less a public hearing and more of a, can we double check and make sure that what he said is happening is really happening?
But what makes this not make us put special conditions on them that we haven't put on
Exactly.
people
Yeah,
before?
we can't, I don't think we
I
can
mean,
do it.
I hear what
So-
you're saying, we
And I'll
just
be
need to
honest with
fix that, James, we need to fix how that
Ordinance.
happens
We gotta
going
fix the
up to
ordinance.
that.
There's a reason that we have to vote on, I'm not saying we should or shouldn't, but there's a reason that we have to vote on these, because each one is different.
Yeah.
Well, you use this reasoning with that one, well, okay, but your situation is different than any other situation, because you're a different human, with a different piece of land, and a different time, and a different date. So, yeah, even though the ordinance is written like, hey, if you check all the boxes, we have to vote yes. That's not true. We
Yeah.
have the ability to look at it and go, I don't think this is right. I think, yes, it matches the terms, but like, hey, I think you've got a different situation, even though it fits on paper, I don't think it really fits. Otherwise, there'd be no reason for it to come to us for a vote. Like, it would just be here, fill this out, once you checked all the boxes, you just get it. So there's a reason it comes to us for a vote, because we get to use common sense and go, I don't know, maybe this is different than other ones. Even though, hey, it checks all the boxes, we look at it and go, our common sense says we don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, it wouldn't come to us for a vote. It would just be a procedural thing. So I look at this and kind of go, I mean, there's 40, 50 houses around. Like, I know that you've signed and said that you've gotten every single one of those people to be okay with it, but I mean, I'm not definitely saying that
I think-
that's not true, but
I think that part of the reason it comes to you for a vote is because often you do have neighbors who will come and express their displeasure with you either granting it or denying it. So we
But the
haven't
only way they
given them,
knew it was
we
because
haven't
somebody
given them
went there.
specific notice in the past. We haven't like sent out a specific notice to neighbors or held a public hearing. It's just been
Show
if
up.
they've looked at the agenda, or sometimes it's because the person that's requesting it actually did go and talk to the neighbors.
Right.
And the neighbors, some of the neighbors
So,
may
but
have
they
objected.
don't have an opportunity to really show up. We don't have a guarantee on if our concern is for the neighbors, in this instance, we don't have any way to be assured that they have been notified
That is correct.
that this thing is coming up for us to approve. So
And-
that's the fix.
Sure, we could amend the ordinance to include a requirement by us that, you could add it to your permit fee that they pay for the postage, but the neighbors within however, I don't know what distance you're gonna,
just that you have to send them a certified
yeah,
letter.
send them a letter.
I just think we need to get something that's objective, but that is fair. But in real life, because the way developments are, we need to really look at this in terms.
And as I'm looking at this, I mean, we also need to make sure that they somehow give us assurance that it's not in violation of any covenants, if there's a homeowners association, if there are covenants
Oh, yeah, I
on the
wouldn't
property
think
that we're not aware of.
Or that an emergency vehicle can get there while you have cars blocking the street.
Yeah,
So
one question that's not on here is what size of gathering are you gonna have? How many people do you expect there to be?
that probably needs to be added.
You know what I mean?
And that's important here, because
It's a
even if
wedding.
you got
If it's
10
inside
cars
or
in that
outside,
subdivision,
yeah.
it's blocked, yeah. Okay, so what are we gonna do?
I think you're telling me lots of ways that we need to amend our ordinance,
That's
but
correct.
it's not amended.
I
yet.
think the ordinance
So-
needs to be amended, but I think for this application personally, I think we should move forward with it. I mean, it's a holiday weekend, it's a wedding, this doesn't happen every day. You know, we can't assume that the neighbors weren't notified. It is 5 to 10, it's not 10 to 3, you know, so, I mean, you know, we like, once again, we lowered that from 11 PM to 10 PM. So in this situation, I think, and I don't know these folks, I think we need to go ahead and to approve it, however, knowing that we need to make these changes moving forward. Because we have approved these before.
All right, so you made a motion to approve.
Yes.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
It speaks volumes that they even applied for a permit, because if I was gonna have a party, I'd just have a party.
Yeah.
Go in and let y'all know.
Look,
But not with an application, though.
Well, amplification can be anything.
Yeah,
Amplification
I
can be
did.
a
I mean,
boombox.
anything I do is, had to have amplification to it, so.
Yeah, maybe there's, you know, a woman playing a keyboard and it's just the coming down the aisle thing, you know, and it's not even gonna be that loud. But that, because it's an electronic amplification, it's got to have a permit. So maybe we're making a giant mountain out of the molehill, but like, so we don't know.
Right.
Hence the idea for tabling, so they would come and kinda answer those questions. But if everybody's fine with it.
I'm good with it this time.
We
All right,
want it fixed.
yes, we
We'll fix
gotta get it fixed. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0. Dr. Ledbetter.
I got it.
County Attorney. Thank you. All right, item number 2. Consider request from staff and Paragon Consulting Group to approve a contract with Wright Brothers Incorporated, the low bidder for the HVAC system at Ambucks Gym and City Park Gym. I think at this time,
Yes, Brian, Mr. Upson?
is coming forward.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Upson.
How are y'all doing tonight?
Hey, Brian.
Good. I think you have the documentation of the 2 bids that we received on July 12th. We had 3 bidders come to a pre-bid conference, and we had 2 bids that were accepted. The first bid was from QT Contracting, doing business as Powers Heating and Air, for the amount of $512,017.65. And then the low bid was from Wright Brothers, $259,586. Both of these are local HVAC contractors, commercial contractors. They were both qualified bidders. Staff reviewed the bids. They looked at the details of each gym project and concurred with us that we would recommend that you accept the low bid of Wright Brothers for $259,586. Any questions?
Questions right now?
I do, Brian. In your opinion, why is there such a difference in QT and Wright Brothers bid? I mean, I'm sure you looked at it to see what was being charged more for. That's just a lot
It's
different.
almost double.
Well, when you look at the breakdown for each gym and for each unit, it's almost double down the line. I don't have a good explanation for it. It's just a life we live. Maybe Powers really didn't need the work. Maybe they were just given a courtesy bid, and Wright Brothers
Okay. I have
had
another
that.
question here. And I understand that, but what are the odds, and you don't know this, but once they get in there, get the work, and then they come back and say, we need another $200,000.
Yeah.
Well, we,
Then we'll get up close to that one first bid.
Yeah, we ask all the contracts to be inclusive contracts, like.
yeah, and Wright Brothers, I mean, both these contractors are reputable contractors. And I believe, TJ, correct me if I'm wrong, Wright Brothers has done work with Spalding County in the past, so anything can happen, but we don't anticipate this bait and switch where they come in with a low price and then well, you wanted this.
Right.
So the bids have been evaluated for the materials and services that were in the original scope of services, and they meet those specifications. So If we don't get what they said they were doing, then we have to go back on recourse with them. But,
May I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
yes.
So Brian, like at the city park, I don't know if how city park was built, maybe somebody around here does, you know, like, it looks like the gym was built in one spot and then some other stuff was added down on this end and then another room on the end of that. How will that be treated in terms of, will the air conditioning be all inclusive of that, or will they be doing different unit sizes and different areas? Cause they're kinda, you know, they're not in a good flow through air area.
They are going to basically replace what's there in the gym. Also, they're gonna add a mini split for the equipment room that historically has had no conditioning.
Okay.
So that should help that room, because right now it had no heat or air.
So we're just doing the gym, not the building?
That's correct.
Okay.
And both, Ambucks and City Park.
Because I feel like at Ambucks, the gym is the building.
Right.
There's no office. Is
But
there a
this-
bathroom there?
This work is just for the gym at City Park, not the
Not the
extra
building,
building.
okay,
Right.
all right, that's all I wanted, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
One
Any
other
other?
last, just to
Yes,
note.
please.
If we go with the lowest bidder, which is fine, and worst case scenario, let's say things happen, they come back and they say, okay, maybe we need a little bit more money for this. Should, in this situation and also in the future, because this has happened to us before, should we put some type of cushion on this and say, hey, look, a maximum of this is what we actually will pay out for this, not going over that amount? I'm just kind of worried, always worry about.
Well, what I would suggest is you could put a contingency on top of that, say 10% if you want to. But during the course of this project, they can't do any work without coming back to us, justifying what they're doing. We would come back to you and tell you what that is before we'd approve any change in price.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So when somebody bids, that's them saying, I can complete and do exactly what you're asking me to do. So we have to be really good at asking them for exactly what we want. Again, unfortunately, using the animal shelter as when we went and said, we expect this, maybe we didn't itemize things like
The sprinklers.
mandatory sprinklers. Maybe that was in our minds included in an animal shelter. But when they came back and said, hey, we need this much extra dollars to do this thing, like, again, I brought up, like, why was that not included? Like, why do the taxpayers have to fit this? Like, oh, we forgot. Well, then you get to pay for it. And so I look at all these contracts like that. Hey, we've asked you to make it colder in these rooms by building this device. Oh, I needed extra. Well, then you should have bid better. Like, that's just, again, we're looking into the future and assuming bad things are gonna happen. But like, if we don't hold these bidders' feet to the fire when it's, well, we need extra for blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm sorry, then you should have bid higher. I'm sorry, we're not gonna build in a contingency. You should have built a contingency in your bid for errors on your part. We expect you to complete what you bid on.
So, that was just my thought, but I get it.
So this is not a Brian question, this might be a TJ question. So when we put air conditioning in at Ambucks and air conditioning at City Park, do we know that building is insulated well enough to keep the air in?
We do not.
So my concern then becomes, we're gonna be spending a ton of money making a room cool that all the air is going outdoors. So I'm not saying don't do it, I'm just saying, that's like
You can bail as
dressing
much
up,
as you
putting
want.
on new clothes and you didn't take a bath.
And you can bail the boat as much as you want,
Well,
but
that's
once you fix the
what I'm
holes in
saying,
it.
so I'm not saying don't fix it, but would we do that in our own house? Would we put in new heating or insulate air conditioning if we knew it was just gonna blow out the window? So, you hear what I'm saying?
TJ,
It's important
can
to
you
do
find
the-
that can you look at it and see if it's insulated well enough to be able to hold up?
I mean,
Well, what we did was, we know that it's not. These are buildings that are 50 and 40 years old. So we did up the tonnage of the units. We had a very similar situation at Fairmont, and it's been very successful, so.
Okay, so you believe that we'll be, with the specs you've got, be able to keep it cool in there?
I believe we're doing the best with the resources that we have.
Is there a way, can we go and look at these buildings and try to make them more,
Insulation?
you know, eco-friendly as far as lowering the cost of heating them? I mean, I love the eco-friendly angle, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey, we up the tonnage so it keeps it cooler, but that just means it's more expensive to throw more cold air in that then dissipates. So maybe we do run some extra caulking and some whatever, and you know what I mean? Like,
We can come back with that information.
And I'm saying that because if we're talking about raising the bar on how we're doing stuff, we're just not throwing stuff at the wall and hope it sticks. If it was my house and I had to make a choice, I would do one correctly. One correctly means air conditioning and yet making sure that the building is sealed, that the windows are sealed. And then I would just look at it, because these are like pay-as-you-go projects, am I correct? I just don't think it's a good idea for us to do this and we know it's not being a good steward. I mean, we're just gonna cost ourselves more money down the road because we gotta pay for extra air conditioning or bigger, whatever the word was you used, TJ, to make it more powerful. That's more money, but certainly, no matter how much power you put in, the door is opening and closing, and then the air is going out of those windows that you got to turn like this to open them back up.
All right, do I have a motion to table?
What you say,
I
James?
want to, before we motion table, because the discussion is, one of the big issues that I hear a lot is the people's power bills, both in the city and the county.
We're
in
the window to table. We have 90 days.
Okay.
From the bid open.
But the actual power rate, like the cost per therm, is lower than Georgia Power. And yet our power bills are higher in the city and in the county than like lots of other places around the state. But our rate is lower. Why? Because our building code allows builders to come in and build houses with sort of this bare minimum of insulation. So it meets our current building code, but our building code needs to step up so that you gotta put in more insulation so that we can take advantage of the lower cost of the therms. Yeah, I mean, look, my house is one of those. My wife loved this mid-century modern thing. This nice vaulted ceiling. All I look at it and go, I gotta heat all that, and I don't think my AC's turned off since the beginning of June, like at all. It's still like 83 degrees in my house. Like,
Are we gonna be penalized if we can't, not making a decision tonight, Brian? I mean, are we somewhere?
Yeah,
I
that's what we
just
just
think-
asked.
You got 90 days to accept the bid. So you've got, August, September, October
So,
to accept the
I'm all
bid.
for recreation. Don't get me wrong, but I'm for doing it right.
But one thing I would tell you is these units are on their last leg. So if you have a failure, you have no air. What I would,
Ambo's doesn't have air anyway.
well,
Sure, it's got fans.
that's part of the problem. But one thing you may want to look at is this price is probably not going to go down if you wait a year.
Yeah, oh, no.
So
I'm not thinking of that.
you may want to look at getting information together over the next year for efficiency, whether it's insulation, whether it's better doors, better windows, and come back and possibly plug that into next year's budget to make those energy efficient systems in place in both gyms. Because if you have a failure at City Park, you're gonna have no air, and you're gonna basically shut that down, or fans, or reduce use.
And would
So
that cost more, I would think,
if you have a failure, you possibly you could get a change order at that point, because there may have to be things done that could be utilized right now that may not be utilized in the future. So I'm not suggesting that you don't do it. It's certainly in your rights to table it and think about it. You got 90 days before you have to pull trigger on this. But this may just be step one, and step two is going in for the energy efficiency by next year.
I I think the HVACs that are in there right now are as old as I am, and so I think it's gonna need one anyway. It might need a cheaper one if we put, you know, several $100,000 into making them more insulated. But I don't necessarily say that I think we would save money on the power cost. I don't think we're gonna save money on the renovations at all. That said, with the bigger ones that we're putting in now, or putting in more efficient ones next year, it's probably gonna be the same cost. So,
And these units are a lot more efficient than what you have.
oh, sure.
So you're gonna have some economy with the fact that they're more efficient.
Sure.
Obviously, if you had better insulation, it would be much more efficient. But I just
I
know
kinda
how
think we should
times are right now with
And then
construction
also-
cost.
Yeah, I
And-
agree, but we need to do it because of a failure.
And
Yeah.
starting today, we opened those facilities up for comfort stations.
But it's not gonna help us tonight because the new air conditioner's not gonna provide comfort over
Yeah.
there. But I hear
That's
what
a good
you're
question.
saying.
How long until they're finished with the project? Like, how long do they have to finish? Put these in?
Do you know, what they said? It's, I think it's project length, he says less than 45 days. So, you know, we're talking about still in the summer months having it
To be on
done.
the record,
No, no, no.
that's a main, we should be concerned.
Second part of it
About
has to do
paying for
with
that.
fixing the second part.
Second part.
All right,
There's a bunch of efficiency stuff. We got a bunch of flat roofs that we could easily throw some solar panels on and grab some, you know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of.
Really good
Well, we
consider that
pay the
next year.
electric bill, and we pay the heating bill,
Right,
and
right.
if everything is in the gym and all the heat and the air rises and it just goes out of the little top or out of the windows.
let it go. All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
But
For the
this
lowest
does not
bidder.
prevent us, for the low bid, this
For
does
the
not
low bid, yeah.
Yes.
prevent us from looking into some more efficiency stuff.
Yes.
And you know, there's some vendors out there that might do it for us, like they do with the courthouse and stuff.
Okay. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion passes.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Brian.
Mr. Upson.
Thanks, Brian.
Item number 3?
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, item number 3 and item number 2 were exactly the same. Our software
Okay.
decided that it wanted to do the same thing.
Item number 4, consider a recommendation from Parks and Leisure Services Advisory Commission to approve the Pickleball Association purchasing epoxy flooring for Wyoming-Tyus pickleball facility restrooms. Dr. Ledbetter?
I'd like to introduce Mr. T.J. Imberger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The advisory board and the staff are in full support of this request.
Motion to approve.
This is zero sum for us, right?
That's correct.
Okay, zero sum for us. All right. Do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion. Do I have a second? All right, I have a motion, and a second. Any more discussion?
I think they'll do an excellent job.
All right, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. 5-0, motion passes. Thank you.
I can't wait to hear good reports back when ESPN comes next.
Okay. Item number 9. Dr. Ledbetter.
Thank you. This is my report this evening. Public hearing is scheduled this Thursday evening, August the 4th at 6 p.m. for our comprehensive plan and capital improvement update. Please join us in this room at 6 p.m. City Park Gym and Fairmont Center both open today for our neighborhood comfort station and cooling centers. The times are listed here on the screen: Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at City Park from 3 to 9, and Saturdays from 10 to 5, located at 601 Camp Northern Road. And at Fairmont, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 10 to 9 p.m. Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 to 5, located at 251 Blanton Avenue. If your air condition is struggling, please come over and enjoy the coolness of these facilities. Here is our latest update for our T-Splost progress. As you can see, the first 5 roads were resurfaced. and we're waiting on striping. If you travel any of these roads, Bicycle, Creekwood Drive, Landing Way, Quail Creek Drive, West Ellis Road, County Line Church Road, if you travel those and notice that the striping looks painted, it's because it is. They temporarily paint the stripings in and allow the roads to cure for 30 to 60 days before they put the thermoplasty down for our new striping. So the striping will get there. We just do the painted striping for safety reasons. If you've not driven any of these roads, please go by and take a look. I am extremely impressed with the work that C.W. Matthews is doing. The contractor is moving around the county logically as close as possible so he can reduce the amount of MOB charges and increase the yield rates that we're getting on our roadways.
Good job. This is really exciting.
I'm excited about it. They're doing a really, really good job, very pleased. And I had a conversation with both TJ and with Scott Sullivan about the roads, and I rode with Scott Friday afternoon to inspect some of the roads, and I was thoroughly pleased with how the work was being progressed. Governor Kemp today made a note that went out to all of our counties, specifically around the amount of money that film and TV productions are generating in our state. And if you notice there on the left-hand side of the screen that's here in our commission room, the quote from Director Lee Thomas from the Georgia Film Office indicates he's very grateful to see the continued commitment to Georgia's film industry through local investment in sound stages, support services companies, and educational programs throughout the state. That speaks volumes for us, as we've got a film education program at Southern Crescent, and within the next week or so, I think DeAndre is going to have a couple of interns from that program working with the county. And I just want to give a shout out to DeAndre, to Southern Crescent, and to the film industry for utilizing Griffin and Spalding County. We have received to date, just for this year, and thanks to Kathy for providing this, year-to-date for Spalding County is $28,350 worth of monies that have come back into our general fund as a result of the filming that's gone on in our county. So kudos to the whole team. Okay. During our next meeting, and I'm sorry I didn't get this to you sooner, thanks to Brian Upson and Paragon, the guys have really been working hard to provide for us a Carver Road sidewalk design. I did want to share it with you this evening, and I will send it out to the Board of Commissioners so that you can see the conceptual design and the work that Brian and his team have put together for us. But we'd like to bring this back to the BOC for consideration to move forward with our sidewalks. This is the first of 3 that we will plan on completing this year, and the other 2 should be in within the next few weeks.
T-Splost.
This is T-Splost as well. Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. Back to school event, the Beat the Heat. We will have another event this Saturday. We received quite a bit of feedback that Friday night was a little tough, especially this week because of school coming back in and the kids being tired by the afternoon. So we're looking to open up the Carver Road Fire Station August the 6th from 12 to 2 and provide a family-friendly water hose fun fire truck event that will also include fun and games, just like we did last week. We received quite a number of positive responses back from that event. So thanks to DeAndre for leading the charge on that. And we could use some volunteers. If anyone's interested, please come out on Saturday the 12th. If you're planning on submitting a building permit, please understand that we are going through a change in software. So it may slow down just a bit how we're processing our permits through. So please just be patient with our team upstairs as we transition into this new software. Okay. The Griffin Spalding Comprehensive Transportation Plan, there is a public meeting scheduled for Tuesday, August the 16th from 6 to 8 at the Spalding County Senior Center. Please come and join us, provide information and feedback to us, and we will do the same in response with regards to our comprehensive transportation plan. Okay? And that is my update this evening, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
Okay. Well, I first wanted to start off by saying deepest condolences to the family of Deputy Sheriff Jamie Reynolds. Sheriff, you know, I want to say condolences to you and your team. Obviously, we've lost a good one. So we'll definitely keep the family in prayers, and we're always here to help in any way possible, the Board of Commissioners. I also want to say thank you to Pastor Lacy, who was here, who actually gave the invocation, was very appropriate. So I'll definitely make sure I pass that along, but definitely our condolences there. Congratulations to Tim Crane on his 28 years being with Public Works. It's a tremendous honor for him. I'm not gonna say, you know, I know that we have other great workers, you know, in our Public Works Department, but that's a lot of experience that's going out the door. So I hope we're able to get more folks in there that can kind of, it's gonna take more than one person to actually substitute Tim Crane, but hopefully that we'll be able to find the people that actually to get that, so that we are able to do the work, to keep the work up. Congratulations to him. Also, I wanted to ask about the task order for the splash pads at Carver Road. I think we were supposed to add that to the agenda for Brian. Did we not do that? Or we were supposed to do that?
It's taken care of, yes, ma'am.
It's taken care of, okay, all right, for that. And last but not least, we know we're going back to school this coming week. I'm actually representing District 3 and also Partners in Education with State Farm with Ann Street Elementary. So I encourage all the other Board of Commissioners to also participate in the Partners in Education with back to school. That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Bolden?
Again, I know you've heard it a million times, but I want to express my condolences for Deputy Jamie Reynolds and his family. I've served a many-a warrant with he was Officer Reynolds with Forest Park at the time, up at the military bases. He was a good guy to have on behind you and with you while doing your job. I wanted to follow up with you and TJ about the chip seal. Was all that stuff repaired out on Yarborough Mill and everything looked good to go?
TJ?
Yarborough Mill is, except for one area, we have a meeting with the contractor this Thursday.
All right, we still ain't paid them yet?
No, sir.
Okay, good. Don't pay them till it's right. I'd like to thank Ms. Jewell for getting up and speaking tonight, and I'll agree with you 100% on everything you said. We've got to get it fixed. We're doing everything we can do to find the money. I mean, I love the pickleball, I love all that, but it's time we start spending and putting money elsewhere. And that's a very important place to put it, because this affecting people's lives out there. Because I know the sheriff and the chief and them are doing everything they can do out there. You can't, it's like they say, you can't, if you polish a turd, it's still a turd, and that's a turd out there. And I'd like to say the school zone traffic cameras, they fixed to start, you're gonna start getting some tickets again. And I know the sheriff's tired of hearing about it, and I'm tired of hearing about it. Just take a second and realize to slow down when you're going through that, because you're gonna get a ticket. I mean, myself, before they were activated, I got like 3 warnings. You will get them. And I know my wife got warnings, and I blamed it on her because she was driving my truck, you know, but but it don't work right. But just be vigilant and just know they're fixing to be on. So that's about all I got to say.
Okay. Commissioner Flowers Taylor?
Yes. Gonna say the same thing Ryan did. People just slow down. It's school, kids are excited. You know, you got small kids that forgot they can't run behind the bus or run across the street. And, you know, school zones have been a school zone ever since. We should have been slowing down going through them in the first place. So, you know, if you get a ticket, don't be crying. It's your car. Just go and pay it. I mean, there's not much you can do to respond to that. It's your car, you're responsible for it. If somebody else is driving, you shouldn't let them drive it if they don't know how to go through the school zone without speeding. So, yeah, I'm excited about school opening. I hope to be out at Jackson Road School for the first day in District 1 this week. And I'm sure kids are excited about getting back to school as well. I wanted to make sure I understood if we had given direction to Steve for to have TJ at some point to start looking at what the efficiencies that would economize use of those 2 gyms would be in terms of whether or not it's a different roof or windows or whatever, but I think we certainly need to be looking at that as we know that it's an issue. I was gonna ask about the Carver Road sidewalk sheet that you said you're gonna show us, the map. Does that road include the entirety of Carver Road, and will this cost be shared by the city? Because part of this is in the city.
No, ma'am, I had a conversation with City Manager Jessica O'Connor on Friday, and we are collaborating on sidewalks between the county and the city. It is right here in my hand as we speak. What we have on the books right now is just for the county, and the city is looking to utilize what we will bring to the table and then extend the rest of the way on Carver Road.
Okay. So we'll just be looking at what it is that the county is responsible for.
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
From 362 up to where the city limits is.
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the chip and seal, how did we budget that, and what fund did we budget that out of, and what is the game plan for the length that we're planning on chipping and sealing?
Last year, that monies came directly out of TJ's budget. There was funds that we found in his budget, just a little bit, not a lot. And this year, we are looking to locate additional funding for chip and seal. We will bring a plan back to the BOC with a list of roads for that program for your consideration moving forward.
This was really test pilot to see if this would work.
That is
But
correct.
it costs money.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
It was TJ's money to be able to do it, to test it out, to see. And now that we're waiting time to see how this is going to hold up. If it only holds up for 6 months, then we probably aren't gonna do this again. But if it's gonna hold up for a while, then we're gonna try to turn around and start reinvesting in this technology.
So, what is it, 14, 15 miles of dirt roads remain in the county? How many miles of dirt road? do we
Total of 80?
We've got 82 miles of dirt roads that would cost
Yeah, it's
us
a bunch.
a little over $5 million to do chip and seal for the entire county.
So we have 200 and something, 240 something miles in the entire county, and 80 miles of it is still dirt road.
462 total, plus 80.
Yeah, 462 paved.
That's correct.
And then 80 not paved, so
462
540.
linear miles of road.
Linear miles of road.
That's paved.
That's correct.
And 80 that's not.
That's correct.
So, okay. All right, so I just wanted to know where the chip and seal, so is there a plan to do any more chip and sealing? I know that you've done, the road that's on the north.
Amelia and Yarborough Mill. Those were the two test roads, and we will bring back a plan for your consideration now that we've got a little bit of time under our belt for how chip and seal is performing. But yes, it is our plan to bring that back to you to consider and to direct us on where to go, and we will tell you how much money we think we will have this year, and then we will plan for budgeting that money in next year's budget.
In 24?
Fiscal year 24, yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay. Vice Chairman?
It's interesting, I like the picture. So we have a really great community here in Spalding County. By profession, I'm a criminal defense attorney, and it's so, in the defense attorney world, outside of Spalding County, it's very much kind of a versus. They look at the police and the prosecution as sort of the opposition, and they don't really get along that well. When I go to trainings in North Georgia and South Georgia, they have a very different attitude than what we have here. I mean, our public defender's office still has Officer Jordan's picture hanging in it. When the former head investigator for the drug team said, "Hey, I need to debrief one of your clients," you know what I mean? It's like, okay, you're not after my client, you're after you can meet in my office, because there's a level of just trust there because we have such an awesome sheriff, we have such awesome officers that see past what's going on paper and see the person behind it. And this is a terrible loss. But to that end, not just other individuals from the community, but other attorneys as well have contacted me and are very interested in helping the department and this family, if that's available to do. And we just wanted to follow up on that. Deep breath before I ship that of that kind of sadness there. But the splash pads, speaking of donations, if we broke ground on a splash pad right now, it wouldn't be open by the time we could use it again next year. I mean, it takes a while to make, and I mean, maybe if we did it like tomorrow, but like we'd have to do 15 other steps before, you know what I'm saying? By the time the government side was done, it'd be too cold to really play on a splash pad. So that gives us a bunch of months to get organizations, individuals, businesses. But I think this is a good opportunity. If we're going to put one of these splash pads at the aquatic center, like I'd like to do, that aquatic center is at the Lakes of Green Valley. And there are several very large businesses right there at Lakes of Green Valley who, several of them were there at the groundbreaking. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to sort of leverage off of them, especially if TJ is saying, hey, these are about $180,000 to $200,000. Like, that seems like a good source of some of that money. Again, we have months and months to work on it. I'm gonna touch on pickleball as well, because Chairman Davis has kept pushing us and saying, hey, you guys should support pickleball. At his insistence, both me and Commissioner Johnson have introduced them to, or tried to introduce them to the GSBTA and get them a source of money for their next steps and their continued building. So thank you for your encouragement, Chairman Davis, to keep doing that and use we're not the only source of money for these sorts of activities here in town. There is tourism boards and all kinds of stuff. So that said, shifting from all those neat wants back to actual needs. The sheriff will agree with me and has for a long time. Our jail, Ms. Walker-Harps, you're totally right. Our jail's shambles. It's not the worst I've seen. I go into a lot of jails, but that's because of our people again. Our people make a big difference in that space. But there are situations in there that are less than ideal even for our people, much less the folks that are innocent until proven guilty and in there. And so it's very important, I agree, that we continue to look into this. That said, some of the dollar amounts that people have been talking about are like the entire county's budget for 2 years. I mean, it's staggering how expensive it is to build a justice center. I mean, staggering. So we're working on it. I speak with the judges pretty regularly on this. Judge Thacker is really taking point on it, and I think he's coming back to us. I think we're on an agenda sometime for him to bring us to the next step.
Okay.
Because again, the speed of government is slow, especially when you're spending, $100 million plus on something. To say thank you again to our emergency response folks. We had a coordinated emergency response event, training. They blew up an airplane. It was super cool. That we had everyone involved, Wellstar, our awesome fire department, the EMTs, sheriff's deputies. It was really, really, really cool. They even had a crew from the film school out to film it, they're in there not in the flames, but around everything going on. A lot of community support, people coming in playing actors. It was awesome to see how well our folks did at that. And There's some sort of tertiary lessons I think that were certainly learned, but the most important stuff, the how do we respond to this fire and how do we respond to these people that were hurt, like, 10 out of 10. Our folks did phenomenal. So really, really excited to see that. I'm excited to join you guys. I'm going to Rehoboth Road Middle School and welcoming the kids in. I do that every year. That's super fun. My kid woke up this morning and did not want to go to school, and he was grumpy. His pre-K started this morning, but we were able to just sort of like hit him with good attitude so much and like, oh, come on, Ty, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great. That by the time he was going to school, he was excited. And you can kind of see that as these kids walk into the school, they're like, I don't want to be here. And you're like, hey, you're gonna do great, this is gonna be awesome. And by the time they're past us, they're smiling a little bit. Maybe they're just laughing at how these goofy adults are jumping up and down. But that attitude adjustment makes a difference in how they start the year. And if they start the year with a good attitude, they'll keep it throughout the year. So it's important. That's not just for us elected folks who want to come out and cheer these kids on. That's open to others. So if you're interested, contact a school board member, man. Like we will get you out of school. Like starting these kids off right is a big deal. That's it for me. Sorry, I always talk so much.
That's all right. That's all right.
Chairman, I wanted to say one other thing. Dr. Ledbetter, would you let Ms. Jones know what is actually going on with the Salvation Army in that building?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
First, I want to make comment about children going back to school. It's a safety issue. All of a sudden, some of them won't know where they're going and run out into the road or run around things. So please be on your guard for especially the first couple of weeks to be able to do that. Second, Sheriff, my heart goes out to you and your entire family that's out there. It's absolutely devastating. Administratively, reminder, we've got meeting on 4 August and meeting on 10 August. So plan your calendars appropriately. Archway on the 10th.
What's the 4th?
And on the 4th. All right.
Public hearing.
Public hearing.
Public hearing for comp plan
Okay.
and the CIE.
What time was that? That was at
It's
5.
at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
You said earlier.
It's the 4th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And then the 10th at 2 o'clock in the
UGA
At the
Extension Office.
extension office.
extension office, yes. All right?
On the 10th.
The
Yeah,
10th.
at 10 at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, at the Archway. County Councilor, have you got a comment you'd like to make or anything else? Okay. Clerk, anything from you? Any last minute comments? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. We're adjourned. Thank you.
TJ, that's our
DeAndre.
Shoot. TJ. TJ. Right here.
Slides were great. Worked out very.
Tuesday. The little thing like that. Which one?
Y'all want to meet
Comp plan.
Oh, yeah, that went well. Thursday, maybe.
T-Splosh.
Thursday. Yeah, that was good. That went well.
Transportation.
You have to close them before you can
Everything pretty much, we talked about it.
reject it. Oh, it's still open on the bottom. Have a wonderful week.
He had today. I can't move that out.
I'm good, I mean, that,
And
I know I'm gonna be good.
Adobe too, you'll have to close that.
Give me the volunteer for the 12th.
The one beside it, the one to the right.
That's the,
Water.
Oh, yeah. You're good. You're good. You
Just send me that out. Yeah, we can heat. I'll send that out.
I'm pretty good all day that day too.
Probably send them out one at a time, but,
You should want to get up some morning, right? What morning you want to do?
especially the
Okay,
first couple.
so we gonna do what time? 10?
As long as you send them out to email me.
9 o'clock?
Pass
Okay.
them out.
But probably the sooner I can, sooner I get back.
Yeah, got that here, and I can't make that notification.
We just gonna, you won't come to the county? I'll do it, so I won't forget. Okay.
I'll do it real quick. No, we did. I got it in my brain.
Yeah.
Ownership, so we've got a book, so I'll dig through that first thing in the morning.
Get out of this bad boy, girl. It's 'cause all my friends are coming in here tonight.
And you've been flying around.
Just wait and get the money for the birthday.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it somewhere.
The county has a version of the speed tables down because of the liability that imposes on the county. But there are some other speed limiting devices that we can actually employ.
Alrighty,
I'll talk with TJ.
that's confirmed.
Okay?
Alrighty.
Thank you. He actually, while we were sitting here, they made the decision not to discharge him, so he's remaining in the hospital.
You need it back in.
Thank you. Good to see you. No, that was just the one that I was reading, but it got signed too.